Welcome to Module 3. Congratulations, you have passed the Module 2. And now we go to Chapter 1, Pharmacological Actions, Safety and Toxicity of Essential Oils. Now the first most important thing that you have to focus is you need to take note in this section that not all essential oils are entirely harmless. Of course, most of them, they are healthy and they are safe to use. However, you need to understand there could be some reactions to some pharmaceutical drugs or some oils, for example. You need to take note what are the essential oils would react with pharmaceutical drugs. Warfarines, aspirins act as a blood thinner. How much is a concern that you have to take note when you apply cypress, helichrysums, or wintergreen to your regime? Because those are blood thinner as well. Would it have aggravated effects? So these are the things that you have to take note. Pharmaceutical drugs, for example, contraceptive as well. Contraceptive, they are essential oils like clary sage, like geranium. They also have an impact on the hormones, spearmint. So these are the things that you will need to take note. Would the essential oils disrupt the hormonal treatment by the pharmaceutical drugs? So these are the things that you will have to be careful and take concern of. Medical condition of the person. Would the person be suitable for certain essential oils? For example, if the person has eczema, the skin is allergic, is such person suitable to use a topical means? I think you should know the answer by now. So understanding medical condition is the first thing that you will have to take note before you proceed with any recommendation. I repeat again, understanding the person's medical condition is something that you will have to establish before you can suggest any of the essential oils. So without that being cleared, you risk the client and you risk yourself. So number one, again, I emphasize, you have to establish the medical condition of the clients. You have to establish the medical condition, understand their medical conditions. And also ingestions. What to be ingested, how much to be ingested, why do you need to ingest it? These are the serious considerations for you. For example, if a woman have hormonal issues and you are suggesting clary sage, do you need injections? The answer is no. Why do you need injections? Because it will be metabolized and it render useless. So why do you need to ingest? These are the considerations that you have been taught in Module 2. And now it's for you to apply by clinical standard and in a clinical environment, and you're responsible clinically. Overdosage. What are the things that not to be for overdosage? Overdosage of applications on the skin. Some of the oils are very hot. You cannot apply too much of a hot oil, there's overdosage. Overdosage of diffusing. Again, it links back to understanding the person's medical condition. Everything links back to the person's medical conditions, actually. Now, there's this thing called first pass. First pass liver metabolism is where ingestion is considered. When we ingest anything, it will have to go through the hepatic channel to the liver, and the liver will metabolize it. So we call the first pass metabolism in pharmacokinetics. So that is the reason why every drugs and vitamins and nutraceuticals have to be studied carefully, because when we ingest it, whatever go through our intestine will go through the hepatic vessels and into the liver. And the liver will be the first pass to metabolize and process the essential oils as well. And different people metabolize essential oil differently. Some can be toxic, some can be useful. Some can be rendered useless. So you need to take note of this. Why do you need to ingest? Now, talking about this first pass liver metabolism under pharmacology, it's not in the textbook, but I want you to write down. This is important for your examination. Why essential oils is so powerful and potent, and we have to be extra careful when you ingest, is because of the first pass metabolism. We call it pharmacokinetics. Because one frankincense can be metabolized into 6, 12, or 24 different metabolites. And each of the individual metabolites has different effects on different individuals. And this is a concern. And this has always been concerned legally by the government, that what you ingest, you need to know what has it been metabolized. Has it metabolized into medicine, something useful for you, or has it been metabolized into something toxic and harmful for your body? Every individual metabolizes the essential oil differently, unfortunately. When I metabolize lemon essential oils, it's different from another person, or to you, metabolize lemon essential oils upon ingestion. So please take note of this thing called, under pharmacology and pharmacokinetics, first pass metabolism by the liver. Now, I'm going to talk about synergy and quenching. The essential oils has 200 to 500 components inside, normally under GCMSMS. Each of the components and molecules that work as like symphony, they are synergized. So in totality, as a new entity itself, as a whole, it is effective. If the distillation process is inferior or not with full honesty, the distillation is not complete, then a lot of components are not being captured inside the bottle of the essential oils. If some of the components are not being captured because the distillation is being cut short, then the synergistic effect of the essential oils will be diminished. Why? Because many of other components are amiss, they are missing. So the whole synergistic effect will be greatly diminished because of that. And that is the reason why expensive and good quality essential oils, they will take a long time to complete the distillation process, which is not profitable to most of the farms usually. So this is called synergy. They work like a symphony. And synergy has also, we call antagonistics. They will be, for example, lavender, they will have the hormonal behavior for female, but they will also have antagonistic molecules to synergize it, to balance it, so that it's safe to use. It's safe for a man to use. So the synergistic effect of lavender can only be proven when the lavender is totally captured in a proper distillation process, where the distillation process has completed and fully captured into the essential oils. So there are full range of the components to perform synergistically. And so when a person applies the essential oils, let's say lavender, the hormonal effect of the lavender will be countered and controlled and synergized by another molecules inside the essential oils. So it's like a yin and a yang. They will always counter each other. But if you do not distill it enough, and then this is missing, then the synergistic effect will be poor. Or the capture is so low, then this is much more pronounced and this is much more weaker. And so when you apply the essential oils, the effect is totally different. It could be strong in hormonal effect. I'm just giving you an example here. So what I'm trying to say is, if you want the essential oils to be synergistic, number one, distillation process has to be the most superior. Low pressure, low heat, long duration. And that again, you cannot avoid price. So that's why it's price, quality, quality, and quality. So once the essential oil is been fully captured, synergistic effect will come in. So without that, sometimes it can be a danger. Quenching, again, the synergistic effect quenching. Because there are 200 to 500 plus molecules inside essential oils, some of the effect of the molecules could be toxic if it's isolates. For example, myrrh. There are some component in myrrh, but another components and molecules inside can quench this. So it render it neutralized. So we call it quenching. Myrrh is an excellent example. Myrrh is the safest non-toxic essential oils we all know. That's myrrh, non-toxic and safe. However, there are 7 dangerous components in myrrh. When you isolate them out, they are highly toxic. But nature has its way, and strangely, when it exists synergistically in myrrh, it is totally harmless to our body. And this mechanism is called quenching. Because this molecule quench this molecule, and that molecule quench the other molecule. Each of the molecules inside the myrrh will quench each other so that it produces something new as myrrh itself. This is the most complex and most perplexing and most beautiful nature of essential oil. And that is what capture all the aromatherapies, the beauty of synergy, quenching. All right, so I talked about quenching just now, and you have learned that essential oil has 200 to 500 plus constituents or molecules in the essential oils. Each of the constituents interplay so that they can able to harmonize for a therapeutic effect. Without the interplay of all these constituents, there's no synergy. Now that means also the single constituents inside the essential oils will not exhibit its therapeutic effect if you put it out as an isolate. So let's talk about isolates. So isolates are, for example, a single constituent taken out from the essential oils. Out of the 500, you isolate one of the molecule, you isolate one of the constituents. And the constituents do not have the effect of the essential oil itself. This is what you need to know. Constituents, a single constituent taken out from the essential oils, do not have the effect of the essential oil itself because there's no interplay, there's no quenching, there's no synergy, there is no antagonistic action, there is no balance, there is no harmonies. So the isolates are usually misled by misled a lot of people. They are usually been known to be like wintergreen, but sometimes it's an isolate. Sometimes peppermint is actually isolate, which is just menthol, right? And isolate is usually used as an additive, as an additive for cosmetic, food, and fragrance. So, and also for pharmaceutical industry. Let me give you an example. Like ginkgo biloba. Uh, One of the effective isolates is, effective constituents, which they take it out as isolate, is glycosides. But it's the glycosides they put it out and they say it's standardization. But the rest of the component has been thrown away. So the whole interplay is absent, the whole synergy is absent, the whole balancing and the requirement of the balancing elements are all absent. And scientists are now getting more and more aware that the importance of the interplay and the synergy of other molecules and other constituents, even though they are not the active compound. So sometimes, and most of the time, isolates doesn't give benefit. In fact, it gives a lot of side effect. So when any components for the essential oils is taken out and to be used as pharmaceutical, nutraceutical, or supplements, the side effect is very strong because one single isolates start to exert its own effect, and there isn't any other constituents and other interplay components to have synergy. So without this synergy, without this interplay, these isolates were able to exert very extreme effect on the person's body, on the physiology, and that's called side effect. So that is the reason why in pharmacology, in science, isolates have very strong, fast effect, but very fast side effect as well. And that is not desirable. And in retrospective, that means a harmonizing, synergistic, a spectrum, a full spectrum of all the constituents inside the essential oils will be safe, will be wholesome, and will be effective because all interplay of the constituents are there. So that is for you to understand isolates. And many other school of thoughts, when they say the essential oils are toxic, which is wrong most of the time, they are mistakenly taught that the constituents, one of the constituents inside the 500 spectrum of constituents, that is, they say that is toxic. Out of the 500, they are just focusing on one isolates. And then when they find that this isolate is toxic, they will judge the whole essential oil is toxic by itself, which is not true. Because if they discover one isolate that is toxic, and then while the rest of the constituents they ignore, they have mistakenly labeled the essential oils as toxic. So this is the problem in some school of thoughts. The synergy and the quenching and the buffering I'm talking about is that all the components, which as I mentioned, for example, myrrh, some of the constituents are highly toxic, but when they are inside myrrh, as myrrh, functioning as a myrrh itself, completely properly distilled, is totally safe and harmless. So quenching, buffering, interplay has taken place. So this is the most important aspect in aromatherapy when you talk about therapeutic effects. And then why is it so important to use plants in a holistic manner? Okay, lastly, I'm going to talk about LD50. Now, LD50 is, you have to understand what is how do you derive the calculation? Now, coming back, let's talk about, backtrack a bit on synergy of essential oils, quenching and isolates. So to spend so much time explaining to you is to allow you to able to explain to people when they ask you the question, why do you do not use isolate? What is the difference of why do you use essential oils instead of drugs? Because drugs are all isolates. All medicines are isolates. But essential oil is a spectrum of constituents. And then they will ask you, why do you use spectrum of constituents? Why don't you just use one isolates? You are expected to be able to answer this in the examination. So this is very important. All right, now we go to understanding LD50. LD50, as I said just now, you must know in the exam how to calculate LD50, the formula, how do you derive, and how do you calculate the weight of a person or a child, that to derive what is the LD50 of the particular person. First, you need to know the weight of the person. And second, you need to know the LD50 marker. But let me tell you something. If you go to page 2 right now, let's talk about basil. Basil is meant for cooking, right? So they have done a study of LD50 using animals. And what they found is 1.4 gram per kg of animal, that half of this animal are dying. So LD50, 50 is half, means in the test, 1.4 gram can cause half the mice to be dead. Now 1.4 gram is a lot of basil essential oils. Then let's measure a man who is 70 kg. So 1.4 times 70 kg, you have 109 grams. When you look at page 2 right now, 109 grams of basil. And then you will say that this is a lethal dosage of LT50. And this is something that you have to watch out. This, you cannot exceed this. After that, it will be lethal. But let me ask you a question. Who will want to eat 109 grams of basil essential oils? That is a can of essential oils. Now, let's not talk about essential oils here. Let's change the LD50 to salt. What happens if it's just cooking salt? If you have 109 grams of cooking salt suddenly administered to a person, would it be harmful? Yes. I think you got the answer. How about painkillers? How about vitamin C? If you were to administer 109 grams of vitamin C into the person's body, would it have any strange side effect? My answer would be yes, because the quantum is too high. And let's go and look at the bergamot, right? The bergamot, the LD50 is 10 gram. You need at least 10 gram, okay, per kg. So this is 10 gram per kg. This is what they found out in per kg of the animal. 50% of the population died using this 10 gram of bergamot or start to be affected. So half of the population died. Half of the population died. That's why it's LD50, it's 50. From here, you measure to a 70 kg adult. How much would that? That is almost a kg of bergamot. Who will take a kg of bergamot in the first place? So it is just a reference. It's just for your awareness. No normal human being will take almost a kg of essential oils and almost 100 grams of essential oil at one go. First, it is very expensive. Second, it is a lot. I myself can't demonstrate how I'm going to drink it. So in putting in proper common sense and retrospective, and I just give you an example, salt. If you take too much salt suddenly, you'll get into a shock and you might die as well. So not to mention essential oils, even the salt. If you increase to 1 kg of salt and you consume 1 kg of salt suddenly, would you go to hospital? The answer is yes as well. So the LD50 is just a guideline. It's an indication for you to know that some of the essential oils have a higher value, some of the essential oil has lower value. But even not essential oils, even I talk about salt or vitamin C or even vitamin B, taking in such a large quantity, or even vitamin E, taking in such a large quantity, which is like 2 cans of Coca-Cola, for example, at once, it's not possible, it's not feasible, and it is also logically will have the same effect, just like essential oils. So do not misconstrue that the LD50 is only solely for essential oils, it's for everything. And do not be misconstrued that the LD50 indicates that the essential oils is poisonous or toxic, which is not true as well. The LD50 is to warn you that there is a limit of overdosage per intake. And the per intake here, the quantity is impractically for anyone to consume. So please be rest assured. So in conclusion, heavy dosage of anything will definitely cause toxicity, even innocent ingredients. With that, I'll end my chapter 1.